Hi and welcome to a new episode of ETRetailCafe by ETRetail. We are back to add some charm to your Monday mornings. As you know, we are covering 100 retailers under this series. To make it go ahead, we have with us today Sandeep Varaganti, who is the CEO of Jiomart.
Hey, Charo.
Hi, welcome to ETRetailCafe.
Thank you so much. Glad to be here. Look forward to our conversation.
Oh, nice. So tell me, how did retail happen to you? Were you always interested in being a part of the retail industry, or it happened by chance?
Actually, it happened by chance. I started my career as a software engineer. While I worked for a couple of years in that industry, I did my MBA, and post that I actually joined Amazon. So while Amazon is known largely as a tech company, if you look at it carefully, it's actually a retail company. Lots of their top line still comes from its retail business, which is the hardcore Amazon.com and its e-commerce business. So that's where I worked for close to 12 years. So the roles I did varied from across, again, product, technology. The last 5+ years, I was with an Amazon joint venture in India called Prion. With them, I actually started the hardcore retail journey. And then here I am with Reliance, which is one of the best retailers in the country, I believe.
So, being a software engineer, what fascinated you to pivot towards retail?
So I think that happened by chance, right? When I was doing my MBA, so how it works is when you spend a lot of money trying to get an international MBA, then you are forced to choose an opportunity that balances out, right? I have to pay my loan back. So I joined Amazon. So while I was at campus Amazon, Luxembourg interviewed. I studied in France. So that's where it happened. Of all the choices that I had, I chose the role which suited my background, where I thought I could thrive. But when I joined Amazon, I never imagined I will actually be running a retail company. It was still a product management role. I did it. I started. But I think more and more I looked at the industry. I saw how much of a difference an actual retail company could make to the customer's life, right? Specifically after I moved to India, I realized that the retail industry also makes a huge difference to the SMB community, right? The small and medium business community in India. So that attracted me more and more. So once I understood that, I kept going deep, and here I am. I don't think I can imagine myself doing anything else.
So software development or retail, what do you think was a perfect thing for you?
I think the intersection is perfect for me, right? Why I think I enjoy what I do right now is because I'm doing e-commerce. I'm not an offline retail expert. I'm doing e-commerce, and e-commerce is actually the intersection of technology and retail.
Yeah.
So all the retail knowledge that I've developed and the technology skill set capabilities that I developed, they mingle well. So I think I'm at the right intersection. So it's for me technology plus retail, and that's where I thrive, I think.
So I mean, your interest and what you studied, everything has come together.
Yeah, it's come together. Like I said, right, a lot of it was by choice, but I think the universe had a huge role to play. A lot of this was also serendipitous. So it kept happening. And when I look back, I like to believe that it's all planned by myself, but I think there is a lot of serendipity happening also. It just made it happen for me. And I'm enjoying it. My current stint, the last 10 years in India have been tremendous learning. And I'm glad that I'm able to contribute to the country's economy being in these roles. So no complaints at all.
So where did you get this retail instinct from? I mean, was there someone in your family who was a part of the retail industry earlier, or you're the first person to enter the retail?
So my father has been a businessman all along. So he's been in the retail space in multiple ways, right? The first company that he floated was a pens company, right? Writing instruments. It was called Hoffman. He created a brand. He created a manufacturing unit. He used to get imported samples and then do pens under the name Hoffman. And he used to sell it across, right? It was B2B, it was B2C. So it was hardcore retail. And then when that didn't thrive, right, there was no e-commerce. So it was tough for him to get the business to survive. So he moved to media. he started doing outdoor advertising. So I had a lot of exposure. In my free time, I used to go join him in his office. And I got a lot of exposure to the retail industry because one of the biggest customers he had was retailers, right? Who wanted to advertise in hoardings, in movie theaters. He was doing a lot of outdoor media, right? So that gave me some sense of how retail works. But like I said, right, why it was not a conscious move for me to get to retail. I think a lot of my observations during growing years, right, it led to this choice and my affinity towards this industry.
Oh, that's nice. But Sandeep, tell me one thing. While being in the retail industry, you must have seen the consumer behavior changing in the past decade or so you are here in India. So how has it changed? I mean, e-commerce adoption, what I see has, increased many folds.
Absolutely.
And lots of people are expected to join because the quick commerce race is also coming in. And people are enjoying this nowadays. I mean, earlier there were assumptions that it might not take off. But now I myself see that I am using it, everyone else is using it. So what do you have to say about it? How have you seen the behavior changing?
No, I think I could be one of the best persons to answer that question, Charu, because I've seen the e-commerce industry's journey in India, right, for the last decade or so. When Amazon launched in India, I was a part of the founding team, right? Our challenges were different. And I'll talk about customers from two angles.
Yeah.
One is the buying customer, like who opens the app or the website and places an order and receives a product. The second side is the seller. That could be a retailer, that could be a brand, that could be anyone, right? On both sides, the story has changed. Number one, the reason for this change, right? It's evolved. People are adopting. The biggest reason for that is adoption of technology, right? I remember during the early stages of Amazon, on both sides, we used to put efforts to get customers to buy. There used to be a lot of advertisements done, a lot of communication narratives built around, hey, it is safe for you to place an order on Amazon. It is safe for you to give your credit card details on Amazon. It's fine, do that. And then on the SMB side, right? It used to be tough because at that point, the retailers or the brands wouldn't have access to internet. Fast internet, right? They would have 2G, but no access to internet. Even if they had access to internet, their sophistication was low. They wouldn't know how to handle a web app. They wouldn't know how to open an account, create listings and start selling. They wouldn't know how to shoot products, right? The catalog used to be done by my teams, right? On the ground, right? We used to have studios and offices in about 50 cities, and that's how it used to happen. This I'm talking about 2014, 2015. Snap to now, none of those we need to do. People are aware of brands like Amazon, Flipkart, Jiomart. SMBs, we don't have to go and convince them anymore. They are hungry. They are coming and saying, hey, can I list my products on Jiomart also? Tomorrow there is a Meesho. Can I list my products on Meesho also? So that energy, that buoyancy has significantly evolved in the last 5 years. And I believe a lot of it is thanks to the technology adoption.
Yeah.
Before that even, right, I think I should thank my current leadership for increasing the internet penetration in a country like India.
Yeah.
When I used to operate like a decade ago, the internet penetration was as low as say 20-30 crores of our 1.5 billion. There we are talking about what, 30% of the population. Right now, I think easily 50-60% of the population has smartphones and 4G, making internet or e-commerce very accessible, which I could not have imagined 10 years ago.
So even tier 3, tier 4, tier 5, I mean, the internet has reached the remotest of the villages now.
Absolutely. I think thanks to Jio and thanks to all the hard work that the first movers in the internet commerce space, right? Amazon, Flipkarts of the world, all the efforts that they've done, plus the efforts that Jio has done, right? I think it's brought India to a stage where obviously you should not forget mentioning the role of our government also. I think significant focus and energies were implemented towards technology and its adoption. So I think multiple things worked in favor of bringing the industry to this stage.
Oh, nice. So, Sandeep, one more thing I would like to know, did this actually prompted you to try converting Jiomart from a grocery player to complete e-commerce player?
Absolutely. I think it's an interesting question. I think before I answer that question, I think I have to give you the history of Jiomart, how it was formed. So that actually was that the need for Jiomart to be born came from customers' need, customers' demand, right? Why I'm saying this is because Jiomart was born during the first lockdown. If you remember how it happened, it was unplanned, right? The COVID was growing like crazy and people were worried, scared. The government declared a lockdown. What happened then was customers wanted access to products, but there were no offline shops. Now, for the other online players also, it was tough because their penetration was not that high across the country and they didn't have access to the right supply. But we being Reliance, we had access to the supply from staples to fresh vegetables and fruits to all other kinds of FMCG products, and we have access to it. So our leadership thought, hey, I got the supply. Customers are looking for some products. They're not able to step out and buy. Can I just enable it for them? So this was born in 2 weeks. 2 flat weeks. They created I wasn't there when this happened. So they created a quick app and a website and they launched it for all the customers. And customers could place the order. Customers who are closest to the stores would see it. They would place the offer and the store would deliver it. That's how it was born. So that's how it was a grocery destination when it started. Kept going for about a year. Need-based. Absolutely a customer need-based. I think the leadership did a great job, right? At that point, they didn't think about, hey, will this model work? Will I make money? No. The only thing they thought was, I've got access to supply. There is a demand. Customers are absolutely needing these products. And let me just deliver. Over the years, then we realized if you look at the Reliance Retail ecosystem, we've got access to all kinds of supply, right? There is Reliance Digital, which has been doing electronics for more than a decade. We have the fashion format. We have background across all categories, all segments. And we built a team which also has experience working with SMBs and other core categories. And then we decided why do only grocery. So that was always the plan that at some point Jiomart will be a cross-category destination. And about 8 or 9 months ago, we decided and we said, hey, now is the right time. Let's just go and open all categories. And since then, it's been a great journey. Originally, I think 80-90% of our volumes were grocery. Now, it's around 50%. The other 50% is other categories like electronics, general merchandise, fashion, etc.
So, consumer has open-heartedly accepted Jiomart. The changes are happening at the Jiomart.
I think so. The changes happened rapidly. As soon as we decided to list other categories, I think customers opened their arms, welcomed us very warmly. There's a lot of ground to cover. We are in the early stage of that journey, but I'm sure it will be a good, healthy relationship between us and the customers.
But when we see there's a lot of competition in the e-commerce space, lots of brands like giants are there already here in India. So how are you planning to beat those giants?
See, the way we look at this, Charu, is that we are not as obsessed about customers, right? About competition, I'm sorry, right? We are focused on our customers, right? Our objective is to find what customers want and ensure that we are delivering that to the customers at the best quality, at the best price, and the best time possible. That's our focus. I think if we keep our focus on customers, the rest is noise, right? I'm not going to be obsessed about what business models other competition is doing. Are they doing something differently, better, worse? I'm less focused about them. I think this is not something I'm saying. This is something that's coming to us from the leadership, right? We do pay attention to the customers to learn from what they're doing better than us. But apart from that, we don't obsess over the competition. So our obsession is all about customers.
So you play everything around customers. I mean, customer is of utmost importance.
Absolutely. Customers, and to ensure that the buying customers are taken care of, we ensure that we are keeping our selling customers happy, right? These are the vendors who make products for us, vendors who are already brands and we buy from them, and sellers that we help list on Jiomart, right? Because all of these segments, we ensure that we are keeping them happy and energized so that they are doing their best for the customers. So together with vendors, we want to ensure that our focus is steadfast on the customers, consumers.
You've started talking, you've been laying emphasis on technology a lot. So what sort of technological interventions or maybe technological changes, advancements you have brought to Jiomart, which are taking it to new heights, according to you?
I think for Jiomart specifically, right, we are operating technology at 2 levels. The first level is what we call as nailing the basics, Charu, right? Why I say that is because our journey, the phase of our journey is quite different from how a native or a grounds-up e-commerce business is built, right? A grounds-up e-commerce, when it's built, it has the luxury to build everything grounds up, right? From the technology to the brand relationships to the customer relationship, everything. In the setup that we are, do not want to take 10 years for Jiomart to grow like the other large e-commerce players, right? It should not be like that, because a lot of this work is already done within the Reliance Retail ecosystem, right? It's already a retail giant. Brand relationships have been established. Customers know about Reliance. They know about the Jio brand name. They have a high recall. How do I exploit all of these things? The fastest way for me to do that is to plug into the existing setup. Right, so the existing offline setup already has a technology which is driving them, already has a warehouse network, already has a supply chain. So I'm just trying to plug into them. So the first layer of technology is to ensure that that happens seamlessly. That's what we've been focused on. Second leg of technology is obvious to make it better for the customers, right? For that, we do invest in cutting edge technologies also. We use artificial intelligence, machine learning. I'll give you a small example. What we've implemented is using blockchain technology to create something called as smart contracts. Okay. Now at a Reliance Retail level, we'll talk about Jiomart. For a Jiomart level, we get into contracts with a lot of vendors, with a lot of sellers, right? For them to sell on Jiomart, for us to sell their stuff on Jiomart, right? With each of these folks, we have a separate contract. Now, how do I build a smart contract that is dynamic? At the same time, it maintains the highest level of integrity, right? Because what I sign with you will be different with what I sign with another brand. And there is no way I would like either to know what I'm doing with the other, right? That's the expectation at a contractual level. So we built using blockchain technology, we've implemented it. That's just one example. On the other end, for the customer, right? There's a lot of fraud happening, right? By brands, by customers, by logistics partners, deliberately, unknowingly. So we use machine learning to identify that. Are there any patterns, right? We all know that there are certain pockets of areas in the country, geographically, where there's a lot of fraud happening. Fake orders happening, fake buying happening. There is a lot of burglary happening in these pockets, right? How do we identify? Right?
Yeah, we do read that people do get soap bars instead of mobile phones.
Yeah, all of us know. Right? Why is that happening? Who is behind this? How do we identify and do that? Right? We identify using patterns. We deploy machine learning algorithms. If we just want to react, then it will be too late, right? You are just finding out how much to write off. But if you are able to preempt, then you can cut the orders, right? Even before the order gets delivered, I can pull the cord on it. How do I do it? By building machine learning algorithms that back us up. So net, to summarize, we are doing it in 2 layers. First layer is where we are building absolutely required technology to keep the platform, to keep the customers thriving. Second is deploying cutting edge technologies to take it to the next level. We are operating at both levels.
So technology has advanced to a great extent. What if it takes your job someday? What will you do?
I think I keep joking with my entire team. I think I spend 20-30% of my own time in the quest to find a way that I'm not required tomorrow. I think not just me, I think over a period of time, my entire team, the entire org and the setup which runs Jiomart is actually thinking, how do I displace myself? How do I ensure that I'm building the right kind of automation, the right kind of technology to displace me tomorrow, right? So if I'm needing X people to do it now, I should be able to do it in 10% of X. Now, that does not mean that I will need only 10% of X, right? What that means is I'm going to deploy these people to do much more.
Yeah.
Higher scale, grander scale, bigger stuff, more stuff. That's what it means, right? So technically, I would love it if at some point technology replaces me. But do I think that is going to happen anytime soon? I don't think so. I think I would love for it to happen.
It's a hypothetical situation. What if it happens?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll be thrilled. Like I said, right? A part of me always wants to displace my job, get it automated. Like I said, I started my career as a software engineer. So I'm always thinking about ways and means to make that happen.
So you have again brought the software engineer in between the talk. So I want to know what sort of learnings you have got from that part of the career and how are you applying those learnings to this part of the career?
I think, like I said, I think the evolution has been natural, right? I think why this becomes very important is I actually started my career sitting down and writing code, right? That was my job. My first job was writing code, developing software, deploying it and making it work for customers. And I used to write code for the banking, financial services and insurance domain, BFSI we used to call it. And most of the products that I worked for were B2C. So the banks were exposing whatever I was building to customers directly. So I learned this entire chain of how customer feedback becomes important, right? And that becomes more important when it's retail, because even as a banking firm, the interactions that happen, if you talk about the volume also, imagine the number of times you open your banking app now versus an Amazon or a Myntra or a Jiomart.
Yeah.
There's a significant difference. So that feedback loop, what is customer liking, what is customer not liking, how can I make it easier? Does this transaction require 5 clicks? Can I make it 2 clicks? These are all things that I worked in those first 4-5 years of my career. That's helping me here. I don't write code right now, but I'm able to demand that experience from my teams. Go back to them and say, hey, does this transaction require 5 clicks? Can you find a way for me to make it happen in 2 clicks? I want the customers to have the least pain possible when they're transacting on Jiomart. So that's, I think, the biggest translation that I've had, right? That I've carried to my current job. Customer feedback loop.
Oh, nice. So I mean, a great learning which you learned, not knowingly that it's going to be a great boon for you in the career going ahead.
Absolutely. It just happened. I didn't realize it's going to help me some point down my career, but it just happened. I'm glad that I learned it at that point.
So was it that your observation of the consumer that you decided to foray into the quick commerce part also?
So quick commerce, we've not forayed, frankly, right? We did a pilot. If that's what you're referring to, then we did a pilot in Mumbai to learn how to run quick commerce. I can confidently say that we now know how to run quick commerce. If I have to deliver something in 30 minutes, I know how to do it. But do we want to do it? We made a strategic decision not to do it. We believe customers are okay receiving a product later today or the next day. And it allows us to do a better job, and it allows us to be more efficient operations-wise, experience-wise, and cost-wise. So it's a strategic decision we took not to do quick commerce yet. Whether we'll ever do it, too early for me to answer. We may not. But as of now, we're not interested in getting there.
Tried, tested, not interested.
Yes, something like that.
So Sandeep, one more thing I want to know. I mean, I keep on saying one thing I want to know, then I keep on asking so many questions. I don't know why. So Sandeep, next question is, what are the basic challenges that you face while running Jiomart these days? And how do you cope up with those challenges?
So, challenges are multifold, right? I think, but what I'd like to talk about definitely is the challenge of keeping the customers happy. I think we are in a country where consumers' demands, expectation grow manifold, right? And at a very rapid pace. And we are also in a country where if you don't do it, there is 10 other companies who are willing to do it. We spoke about Q-commerce. We decided not to do it, but there's 10 companies who are doing it. And I'm a huge fan of a few of those companies, right? I do use a few of those myself. But so my biggest challenge is to keep up with the consumer's expectation. And I've seen that evolve myself. Like 10 years ago, when I was still a part of Amazon, being able to deliver a product from 1,000 kilometers away in 5 days was sufficient, right? That would keep the consumer happy. Not anymore, right? They don't care where the product is from, right? If I like something and I've placed an order, it better come to me in 30 minutes. If not today, then tomorrow. I don't care if it's coming from Jammu or if it's coming from Kanyakumari, right? The customers evolved. Their expectation on pricing has evolved, right? I've enjoyed it. The banks want me to adopt their credit cards. UPI companies want me to adopt them, right? And they're giving me offers. I want to keep getting those offers. I want to get the best price possible. So in like all the other challenges that I face, right? Supply chain, technology, people, these are all more inward focused, Charu. Yeah. The biggest challenge that I face, and every day I wake up thinking, how do I solve this, is changing customers' expectation, right? Indian consumer is very demanding. And I know for a fact that if I don't deliver to their customers, their expectation, somebody else will. So I'm constantly being pushed. And my entire team, right? I keep talking about myself because I'm having this conversation with you. But what I speak is true for my entire team. All of us wake up thinking, hey, how do I solve this problem for the customer?
Customer. In every answer, you're saying customer is everything. So what next big things do you have in store for customers going ahead from Jiomart?
I think our ambition is very clear, Charu. I think we want to, Reliance is the largest retailer in the country, and we would like to be the largest e-commerce retailer also in the country. So all our efforts and focus is towards that. And we'd like to do that by giving the customers the biggest delight. And when I say customers, it's both buying consumers and selling consumers, our vendors, our brands, people that we have relationship with. We'd like to do that. I think that's our plan. How do we measure? I think there is no figurative way to measure when we are the largest. But I think if we are growing as fast as we are growing currently, and if you are able to keep the customers happy, I think that's proof of pudding. I think we've got milestones, we've got checkpoints. How do I measure whether I'm going in the right direction towards the vision? But apart from that, I think that's the plan. Just ensure that we are getting every single product available across the world, available on Jiomart, and try and deliver that in the best possible time to our customers.
So what is going to win at Jiomart, private labels or the other labels in long term?
Everything. I think the Indian consumer mindset is so dynamic, Charu, right? What is relevant, what is thriving today may not be the same tomorrow, right? Like I said, right? What you're doing, if I think about myself as a brand, what I'm delivering today, right? I continue delivering the same thing next year, the same consumer may not want me. There is another company, another brand who's going to end up doing a better job than I. So in this quest to build a better product, right? If it's a physical product, a virtual product, a service, everything, right? India is such a dynamic country that people are always innovating to give a better product to the customer. So I don't think I can say that a private label will thrive or a hardcore established brand will thrive. I think both will. Indian consumers want choice, and as long as brands are giving choice for the customers, I think they will be okay. Even right now the numbers tell me that private labels are doing a great job. D2C brands are doing excellently well, and I'm a huge fan. I use a lot of them. We are also selling a lot of them on Jiomart. But at the same time, I see established, long-grown FMCG apparel brands also doing like crazy. So I don't think the answer is this or this. I think both are going to thrive in a country like India.
And as soon as, as far as Jiomart will keep on delivering those, keep on meeting those consumer expectations, Jiomart will also keep on growing, right?
Absolutely. That's the whole point. I cannot make a choice between, hey, I will only sell established brands or I'm only going to do D2C. I don't think so. I think I'm going to cater to every consumer that's possibly shopping online in India. And as long as I keep doing that, I think I will survive.
That's great. So before we wrap it up, Sandeep, we'll have a quick chat, rapid chat kind of a thing where I'll keep on shooting questions at you and you have to keep on answering them without thinking much about them. Which is your favorite? Which is your favorite business book and what do you like about that?
So my favorite business book is this book called From Good to Great. It's written by Jim Collins. What I like about the book is there's a plethora of books talking about how to build a startup, how to build a business efficiently, etc. This actually focuses on excellence. So it's not enough to build a good business. How do we make it great, right? Great companies, there's so many companies in history, right? Ford is one. Amazon is another, Reliance is another, right? How do we build such companies? That's what the book focuses on. It's my favorite book.
Oh, nice. So, being an online player, I mean, Jiomart is an online player that way. We're running a business over there. Where do you shop from, online or offline, and why?
It's a combination, frankly, right? And that's what I keep telling. I've spent like almost 15 years in e-commerce, but I do go and shop offline for some stuff, right? I'm an avid biker, right? I ride bike, and certain stuff for that bike, be it accessories that I put on the bike or that I wear, I prefer trying it, right? I prefer trying it on, right? Even if it's a helmet or a gloves, right? I prefer trying it out. So I prefer going to a particular shop and I buy it. The rest of the stuff I buy online. Groceries I buy online. Fashion I buy online. So it's a combination for me. I think in a country like India, offline, online, both are here to stay. I think we saw a narrative about 5 years ago that the entire business is moving online. I don't think that's going to happen in a country like India anytime soon. It may happen, but I don't think so in my lifetime I'll see it.
So Indians still prefer the touch and feel of the object before buying it.
Absolutely, I think so. And it's not just folks from my generation. I'm talking about even Gen Z, Gen X, millennials, whoever. Like, these are terms that come to my mind. But I see everyone doing the same thing. They have their preferences. Few things they do go and buy offline. So I think so.
So you've given us a hint that you love to ride bikes. My next question was, what one thing that you want to tell people that everybody knows that you are the face behind Jiomart here in India. And what else do you do apart from running Jiomart?
No, I think I am a very regular guy like that. I'm from India, so I have my preferences, which any average Indian would do. So I think three things which come to my mind. I watch a lot of movies. I'm not a Netflix guy. I'm actually a theater guy. So I love Christopher Nolan. I just watched his movie Oppenheimer twice in a week.
Oh, nice.
So I'm a huge movie buff, and I ride bikes. I go on trips every Sunday. I go for a half-day trip. I go a 200-kilometer trip and come back. And I also play cricket. I may not look like that anymore, but during my younger days, I used to play sports. I was athletic back then. I do still play cricket whenever I get a chance, but not at the same level. So this is how I spend my time. Obviously, I have a wonderful 4-year-old daughter. She takes any time that is left outside my work, she takes most of it. Then comes these other stuff that I do.
And you've also tried your hands in acting, right?
Yes. There will be a couple of videos on YouTube. But yes, I've been in a few short films.
Why didn't you pursue acting as a career?
I don't think I'm as good a actor as I'm a retailer. I think this is where my passion lies, frankly. Even if I get the opportunity, I think I would prefer investing that time in the retail space than in acting. But short answer to that, I don't think I'm a great actor.
Let the audience decide. So tell me, Sandeep, one retailer or the brand that you admire a lot and why?
So far, I think I cannot choose one, and I will be very frank about it. One brand that I love and I like is Amazon. The way it was started, I'm a huge fan of Jeff Bezos. You gave me the option to choose one book, so I chose what I love the most. But I followed that person. I've read his biography. And that's a brand that I respect a lot for the way it has grown, the way it has penetrated. I've lived in the US, so what I speak may not resonate completely with the Indian audience. But if you speak to any customer in the US, they will talk about how Amazon has penetrated their life completely. That's a brand that I love and respect, not just because I work for them. I used to like it even before I started working with them. The second brand I love is Reliance, specifically because of the impact that the organization as a retailer, even as in Reliance Industries Limited, is trying to do for the Indian ecosystem, right? I've not seen a company which is more focused on developing the country. It is not just about making money and making profits, but it's about how do I build a business that is sustainable for the country. So I think I did sufficient research before I moved from Amazon to Reliance. So I am a huge fan of the brand Reliance. I respect the founder, I respect the current chairman and a lot of leadership because of what they bring to the table, not just as businessmen who want to make money, but as businessmen who want to make a significant impact to the overall country and the ecosystem. So these are the two companies.
So my last question is, one quality of yours that you want people to learn from you?
That's a tough one. I'm not sure if there is many qualities that, but I think one thing I'll talk about is perseverance. I think that's one thing that I've continuously demonstrated, at least consciously. There have been ups and downs in my career while building businesses, hardships, a lot of walls, mountains that I had to scale. But perseverance pays, right? You keep at it. You just identify the problem. If you're blindly beating against a wall, it won't work. But as long as you've identified the problem, put a solution to it, and consistently put efforts, then at some point it will relent. So I think perseverance. I think I've consciously demonstrated it, and I think that is something which will work. There are other people also who demonstrated bigger perseverance, but at least not trying to be humble, but at least from what I've done so far, I think perseverance is something that I think others should learn from me.
It's nice to know about you today. It was a pleasure talking to you. And we also learned a lot, many things from you, Sandeep, today.
Thank you so much. It was an enjoyable conversation. Thanks for patiently having this conversation. I hope this is helpful to more people.
Definitely. I hope you also learned a lot from what Sandeep said today. We'll see you again today, next week with a new retailer, with a new story, with a new episode. Till then, bye-bye.